Miles from Los Angeles, a small rocket plane drifts on the surface of the water. 400 miles from Los Angeles, a small passenger vessel races southward at its none-too-good full speed. On the boat, Mrs. Gregory, Jerry, and Joan are waiting patiently in the radio room for news of Captain Bradford. But the captain and his companion are a little too busy to be sending any radio messages right now. When the girl submarine commander, who has joined the Gregory party, and Tex Bradford landed their stolen rocket plane on the position directly above Euclidia, they found that the Euphidians had made one unsuccessful attempt to escape and were planning another. In the rocket plane, the girl sits alone, looking anxiously into the water, down into the mysterious depths which conceal the underwater city of Euclidia.
Give me your hand here, Captain Bradford. No, do not attempt to remove your helmet in the water. Come aboard.
Well, that was quite a dive with only a helmet.
It was remarkable. Did you descend deeply enough for your purpose?
I sure did. Planted 2 bottles of that solvent of mine where they won't even dare to touch one of the submarine locks, much less open one.
That is splendid, Captain. Now I will not need to use more of my limited supply of magnetic bombs.
Good thing. We may have other uses for those little gadgets.
Do you wish to suspend your solvent over the surface lock at this time?
That's not what I'm sure of. Planting these glass globes full of the solvent is a good deal like laying a mine. It's no fun to have to go down there and pick them up ourselves.
They are set to break very easily, are they not?
Yes, if they contact anything metallic. Naturally, I couldn't have them going off every time a fish swam into them, but I hung them where they would be touched by the leading edge of the lock gate the moment it started to move.
And at the surface lock, the procedure would be the same?
Yeah, just about. Though I think I'd put the bottles where they'd have to strike them to turn the valve. Without the valve to flood the lock, they can't use it.
Very good. Except, as you have noted, in an emergency, we might have to use that lock to enter Euclidia.
That's the trouble. We couldn't get any more than they could get out. Of course, I could try getting the solvent loose without breaking both bottles, but it wouldn't be any too easy.
I will do as you say.
Have to risk it, I guess. If we don't bottle them up while we have a chance, they'll finally get desperate enough to come out in spite of the flood that will pour in there. And some of them will make it.
Surely enough of them to cause trouble for us.
More important than that, enough water would get in there to drown everyone else in the colony. We want to do this without hurting anyone if we can.
Then I suggest we place your solvent to guard that airlock immediately.
Will it use all our gas to taxi over there?
Almost, but we have little choice.
Okay, let's go.
Very well. In a few seconds, we will drift over the location.
Well, don't worry about using the gas to hold us there. I'll take this line down with me. And if you drift a little, I can get back easy enough.
I will hand the solvent to you after you are in the water, as I did before.
That's safest. Those 2 bottles ever banged together and broke, that stuff would eat a hole through this boat before we could move.
We are practically over the lock now.
Okay, I'll get out. Then you hand me the bottles.
Will you secure this line about your waist?
Maybe I'd better at that. I might run into a little surprise of some kind down there. They could be watching us, you know.
I presume they are, but I think you are in no danger from that. Everyone on Euclidia knows of your solvent, and they realize that any accident to you would flood the colony.
I hope they do realize it. Well, here I go. Wait a second until I get this line trailing freely in the water now. Okay. Pass out the bottles one at a time.
Here is the smaller one.
Got it?
And here is the larger.
Fine. I'll keep this door open. Once I'm down, feel this line and keep it fairly tight. If I give you 2 quick ones, use some gas dragging me away from there. Don't wait to try and pull me in.
I understand perfectly, Captain. Here is your helmet.
These little helmets are pretty good at that. I'll make it as quick as I can.
Patricia Gregory to Captain Bradford. Hello, Tex. Waiting for your report. Patricia Gregory to Captain Bradford. Hello, Tex. Patricia Gregory to Tex Bradford. Hello, Tex. Waiting for your report. Can you hear me? Hello, Tex. Calling as you requested. Can you hear me?
Elaine Raleigh to Gregory boat. Call you later. Working now. Call you later. That is all.
I will wait for your call.
The captain should now be coming up. All is not well with him. There. 2 sharp jerks on the line. I will pull him to safety.
I'm all right, Elaine. Be with you in a minute.
I will help you with the line, Captain. Did you lose your helmet?
No. I took it off. Be all right in a minute.
Let me have your hand.
Okay, here I come. Oh, boy. Thanks.
Were you underwater long without your helmet?
Just about as long as I could hold my breath. Seemed like half a day, but I suppose it was about a minute.
You are very cold, Captain. This night air with that slight breeze and your wet clothes.
No, I'm all right.
You will go into the rear compartment and dress yourself in dry clothes immediately.
But we've got work to do. I heard those Euphidians say
What
that...
you heard them say can wait. I will be in a most unpleasant position if you become ill.
I guess you're right. No time. Look over there.
Captain, the surface of the water is disturbed over a large area.
Right, and that's what I heard them talking about when I took off my helmet to put my ear against the wall of that lock.
What is happening?
They're raising the island again.
Raising the island?
That's what they're doing.
If that happens, we are powerless.
Just about, as far as I can see. How long will it take them to get that thing above water?
The island was accidentally disabled and partially flooded during that artificial volcanic eruption. They will have to raise it very slowly. I would say 300 seconds before the ceiling of the island could possibly reach the surface.
That water's moving around a lot over there now.
Maybe nearer the surface than I calculated. I am sure, however, that it will take 300 seconds to bring the floor of the island above the surface, after we see the tops of the surface chambers.
And in 5 minutes, we've got to figure how to capture 300 people with a dozen exits to safety and all the arms and ammunition on Euclidia. And we've got just 2 little bottles of solvent.
I have a desperate plan, Captain. Will you risk it with me?
I'll try anything.
Then call your boat, quickly. Tell them what's happening.
What good will that do?
Our plan will probably fail. It is only fair to warn them what to expect.
Right. Bradford to Gregory boat. Bradford calling Gregory boat. Hello? Hello? I don't get them.
Try it again, and hurry. The island is rising.
Bradford calling the Gregory boat. Hello? 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 Bradford calling Gregory boat. Hello? Hello? Bradford calling Gregory boat. Hello? Can you hear me?
It's Tex.
Yes, Jerry. Answer him at once.
Bradford to Gregory boat. This is a hurry-up. Answer at once.
Hello, Tex. Jerry Hall on Gregory boat to Captain Bradford. Go ahead, Tex. Go ahead.
Get all of this and get it quick, kid. We're going to have trouble. The island is being raised again.
Jerry, the island.
Yeah, they're raising it.
Did you get that?
Oh, Jerry, what is it?
Wait, Mother.
Yes, Tex. I got it. Raising the island.
Right. Elaine says we've got about 5 minutes to plan some way to stop them. If we don't, well, you're going to be running into trouble when you get here.
What are you going to do?
Let me take it, Jerry. Hello, Tex. Can we do anything?
Don't know what it would be. They're raising the island, and it looks hopeless.
We'll keep coming, Tex. Full speed ahead. Oh, Tex, we'll help if we get there in time.
Afraid you won't make it, Pat, but hold it. Hold it a minute.
Tex! Tex, what happened? Tex!
No use, Mrs. Gregory. I heard his set cut out.
There was water. I know I heard rushing water.
Yes, Mother, but we can do nothing.
We'll see if you can find anything wrong with this radio set, Jerry.
Well, I'll try, Mrs. Gregory, but the trouble's on the other end.
And we can't do a thing to help them.
Guess not. And they're raising that magic island again.
I thought the island was destroyed accidentally in that eruption.
Perhaps they had a reason for allowing us to believe that.
Jerry, is the set all right?
It's perfect, Mrs. Gregory. Tex just quit sending, that's all.
Joan, run and get Mr. Johnson. Have him turn the wheel over to the quartermaster. Get him in here at once.
Yes, Mother. I will go at once.
And Jerry,
Yes, Mrs. Gregory?
get the engineer and the skipper. Send them to me as fast as you can.
But what will you do?
Oh, I'll stay with this radio. Get those men in here.
Bet I will, as quickly as I can, Mrs. Gregory. Hey, Joan, wait a minute.
I am in a hurry, Jerry.
I know it, but wait a minute.
But, Jerry, Mother
told me to hurry and send Mr. Johnson to her.
Yeah, and I'm after the skipper and McLeod the engineer, but a couple of seconds won't hurt anything.
What is it?
Well, I didn't want to say anything in front of your mother, but this looks mighty bad. Well, we'll never get there in time to rescue Tex and Elaine.
I feel that too, Jerry. Is there nothing we can do?
Not a blame thing from here. If we were in 500 miles of that blame Magic Island, we could try for it with this little plane lashed to the deck. But 4,000 miles, no chance.
Then if you are so helpless, why did you stop me? I should be completing my mother's orders.
Well, I've got a crazy plan, if you'll help me with it.
I will do anything.
Well, this won't help the captain a bit.
Oh, but Jerry...
Wait till I finish. It won't help the captain, but it will help your mother a little. Keep her from worrying for a while, and that'll be something.
Oh, yes, Jerry. If we can help Mother maintain her peace of mind, we will be accomplishing something.
Right? And here it is. Now, there's a little portable transmitter, a pack outfit in Texas cabin on this boat.
But what good will a radio do?
Will you wait till I finish this?
Yes, Jerry.
Well, as soon as I send Mac and the skipper to your mother. Hey, wait a minute. Here's the skipper now. Hey, skipper.
Aye.
Mrs. Gregory wants you and McLeod in the radio shack right away. Will you please tell Mac?
Aye.
And hurry it up?
Aye.
Now, your message to Johnson can wait a minute. Here's what I'll do. The minute those men are out of sight, and you get Johnson in the radio shack, come right into Texas cabin. I'm going in there right now and set up the pack transmitter.
What will you do with it?
Well, you can sound like Elaine, can't you?
Not very well, I'm afraid, Jerry. I have never learned to speak easily, as you do.
All right, I'll fix that, too. I'll fix the microphone so your voice will sound pretty bad. Mrs. Gregory won't be able to tell who it is. Now, I want you to pretend to be Elaine. You're sending your mother a message as if Elaine was the
But
sender.
what can I say?
Oh, anything. It doesn't matter. Just so your mother thinks Tex and Elaine are still afloat and doing all right. You can say that everything is all right, only that you'll be too busy to talk for a few hours.
Excellent, Jerry. I will say that the captain and I are too busy for radio communication, but all is well, and we will send further information when possible.
Ah, now you've got it. Hurry and send Johnson to your mother. Then run for Texas cabin. And the minute you get there, we'll call this boat, and you can cheer up your mother.
The magic island of Euclidia is rising from the sea. Not so long ago, the Euclidians submerged the island, taking it down to the bottom of the old volcanic crater and making everyone believe it had been destroyed. Now the island is coming out of the water again. This brings a very real danger to Captain Tex Bradford and Elaine Raleigh, who are attempting to imprison the Euphidians in their underwater city. When the island is above water, G-47 and his men will have more openings for escape than Tex and Elaine can watch.
How's it look to you now, Elaine?
The island is rising very slowly, but the tops of the defense chambers are showing above water.
At that rate, we'll have a couple of minutes to work in.
And what can we accomplish?
I'm not any too sure, but we've got to do our best to keep those fellows from getting loose.
You have only one charge of your solvent left. Is that correct?
That's right, only one.
Then that may be used to guard only one exit. And when that island is above water, there are at least 8 openings through which the Euclidians may escape.
Oh, I know it, but we'll have to run a bluff of some kind.
I do not understand fully what you mean by bluffing, but this is a time to be sure what you are doing.
Yes, if you can be sure, but when you can't, bluff.
Then bluff quickly. The island is rising.
We got enough compressed air to taxi us around to the other side of the island?
I think not.
It's our only hope.
I will try to cross the island. That is much shorter.
Well, sure it is. But if the island comes up before we get across, what then?
Our position will be no worse than it is now.
You're right, Elaine. All right, give it all you've got.
The jets are wide open. The air supply is diminishing very rapidly.
We're getting across the island, too. Hey, look out.
I will not strike that defense chamber.
They can't open the doors and those things until the island is completely above water, can they?
Not without flooding the entire lower level of the island.
Good. Now, when we get to the other side, say, we're scraping on the surface of the island.
It will be a very narrow margin, Captain, but I believe we will be over the side of the island before we are held by touching it.
Let's hope you're right. We made it.
So I believe.
Now cut your rudders or on hard. We've got to get right back beside that elevator housing before we lose headway.
It will take only a few seconds to complete our circle.
Things coming out of the water mighty fast now.
What is your plan, Captain?
Well, now look, we'll want to stand by as near the elevator housing as possible. Near enough that I can reach out and break those bottles of solvent against the elevator door.
I see. Then that will allow your solvent to eat down through the surface of the island, and the ocean will flood into that elevator shaft.
Right. And if I remember the layout of this island, they can't shut off that water before it reaches the power rooms and puts the whole island out of commission.
That is correct, Captain. Water going into this shaft will flood the entire island, forcing anyone within it to take refuge in the main city of Euclidia.
That's what we're going to try to do, Elaine. And it's our only chance. When one of those doors opens, we'll warn whoever comes out that if they attack us or attempt to advance towards us, I'll break these bottles over the elevator housing, and the solvent will eat its way into the island in 5 seconds.
An excellent plan, Captain. With the Euphidians driven back into the main city, we will have only the surface airlock to watch.
Right, and we're going to have to do something pretty soon. Looks as if that island is about on top.
It is now in position. Any moment we may expect to see a door open in one of the surface chambers.
Well, I'll hold onto the side of this pier with one hand and hold the salvin in the other.
Is there no way in which I could help you, Captain?
Afraid not. There's not much room in these little doorways.
Look. The central control chamber.
Yeah, the door is opening.
One of the Euphidians is coming out on the surface.
Well, I'll stop that. That's all for you. Don't come any nearer.
And what will you do if I advance upon you?
I'll break these bottles of my solvent against this elevator housing. I'll flood your island.
That would be very foolish, Captain Bradford.
Well, that's what I'll do.
Try to find out what Thales has in mind.
Suppose I break this bottle now. What will you do?
Do you not see the large ray gun protruding through the wall of this chamber at my side?
I'm not afraid of your ray guns. You ought to know that those rays won't penetrate one of your own boats.
This ray will. We will use the metallic ray on you.
What's a metallic ray, Elaine?
It will melt the metal of this plane as if it were wax.
Well, Thales, looks just like we stand here and look at each other for a while.
You will lower your solvent carefully into the water and release it.
I will not.
Then we will turn the ray on your plane.
Go to it. And when you do, I'll break those bottles on the elevator shaft. If we sink, we'll take this island with us.
It will mean your life.
And without us on the surface to open these locks for you, it would mean the life of everyone on Euclidia.
Thales seems to be uncertain.
I thought that might stop him for a minute.
Yes. He's going inside the chamber and closing the door.
That gives us a little breathing spell.
Your position is most uncomfortable, leaning far out the door with your arms extended.
Well, my arms are getting a little numb.
Why not use this respite to relax for a moment? Place the solvent on the floor of the plane.
Afraid to. I'll bet you they're watching us right now. And the minute I take my arms in, they'll blow this plane to pieces with a metal ray.
Yes, that is quite likely. However, you cannot maintain that position indefinitely.
Maybe not, but I can get out into the water and hold these things here a long time. Then when I get tired, you can get out and hold them.
Even so, that will give us only a few hours. It is well after noon now. In a few hours, it will be dark. Then the Euphidians can attack us easily.
I know it, but I want those few hours. Now, if you'll hang onto that arm so I don't bump those bottles against the island, I'll slip out into the water.
Very well, Captain.
Easy now. Don't bump those things together.
I will be careful.
There we are. Now I'll keep floating here where I can support myself on the plane. We'll hold out until night at least.
Patricia Gregory, calling the plane. Gregory boat to Captain Bradford. Hello, Tex. Hello, Tex. Can you hear me?
Gee, Mrs. Gregory, you can't raise them at all now.
No, Jerry. I can't raise them at all.
Well, Joan and I went in and tried that little portable set in the captain's cabin. We thought maybe this set wasn't working just right.
Yes. I know what you and Joan did, Jerry. And even though it didn't fool me, thanks a lot for a grand gesture.
Huh?
Now, Jerry,
Honest, I don't know what you're talking about, Mrs. Gregory.
you don't remember having Joan use that portable transmitter, call me here, pretend to be Elaine, and tell me that all was well?
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess we didn't do so well.
It wasn't your fault, Jerry. Joan couldn't conceal the Euclidean training in her voice. Elaine has moved more often in the world, and she speaks as we do, with very little effort.
Yeah, I should have thought of that.
We all could have thought of a lot of things, Jerry. And like yourself, we thought of them too late.
Oh, now, Mrs. Gregory.
I know what you're going to say, Jerry. And it's fine of you not to blame me for this. But after all, I started the whole thing, looking for Joan. And I gave my permission for Tex and Elaine to attempt this wild flight.
But gee, Mrs. Gregory, we don't know for sure that anything's happened to them.
Possibly not. But it's nearly dinner time. And in a few minutes it'll be dark. And we haven't had a word from them since early morning.
They said the island was being raised again.
And that would mean Tex and Elaine captured. Or worse.
Well, they wouldn't hurt Tex any more than they'd hurt any of us.
But this time it's different, Jerry. They'll have Tex's formula. There won't be any further reason for them to treat us kindly.
Well, quit worrying about it for a little while.
I'm sorry, Jerry. But I can't take it as calmly as you do.
Well, that's what I mean. Be calm, like me.
You don't realize that you've twisted all the buttons off your shirt.
Huh? Well, how did I do that?
Oh, just sitting there calmly, twisting the buttons.
Yeah? Well, I'm not doing any better than you are.
Have you received any word as yet?
Come in and close the door, Joan, dear.
Yes, Mother. You look very worried. What has happened?
Nothing, and plenty of it.
That's just the trouble, Joan. Nothing has happened.
What have you been doing?
I have been in the pilot house with Mr. Johnson. He says we have made unusually good time.
Good time.
It seems to me that we've been crawling.
I do not understand just what has happened. But Mr. McLeod, the engineer, who has done something to the motors. And we have been going much faster than is safe for this boat.
Good old Mac.
Yeah, the boat holds together.
The motors are making a terrible noise, and I suppose it isn't doing the boat any good. But if we can arrive there by noon tomorrow, well, we may be in time to do some good.
Mr. Johnson says we will arrive at the position of Euclidia at daylight.
Daylight?
Why, Joan, that isn't possible.
I thought not, but we are within a few hours' run of the island.
Oh, if Tex could only know that. It's getting dark, and they'll be in some terrible position there with darkness coming on. And Tex will be figuring that we're 18 hours away.
Daylight's only 12 hours away.
Mr. Johnson said we would arrive in 12 to 13 hours.
Those 6 hours would mean a lot to Tex, if he's waiting for us.
If he's waiting for us, you know he's waiting for us.
No, Jerry. I can only hope that he's still waiting.
Now, Mother, that feeling will not help.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're both so cheerful, and it all seems so hopeless.
We could try him again on the radio if you want to.
Yes, Mother, we will try again.
Very well. But we've been trying for hours.
Well, maybe they're just too busy to answer us, or maybe their radio's too weak, or maybe they've gone on to the island to capture it.
Or maybe a great many other things. But you don't believe it any more than I do.
Oh, all right. I'm scared about what's happened to them, but let's try the radio anyway.
We may as well. Patricia Gregory to Captain Bradford. Gregory boat calling Bradford. Hello, Tex. Pat calling. Hello, Tex. Can you hear me? We are within 12 hours of you. Can you hear me? We will be there in 12 hours. Hello, Tex. Hello, Tex. Oh, it's no good.
Sure doesn't seem to be, but... Well, let's keep the receiver open anyhow.
Oh, do as you like, Jerry. I'm going out and walk around the deck.
Do you wish me to come with you, Mother?
No, Joan, dear. I want to walk quietly, all alone. I'll feel nearer to Tex outdoors. He's outdoors, too.
Gee, Joan, your mother's sure down in the dumps, isn't she?
I do not understand down in the dumps, Jerry.
I mean, she's feeling bad.
Oh, Mother is very hopeless.
Well, I feel the same way, but I thought if we acted cheerful, it might make it a little easier for her.
Our radio message from the other cabin did not deceive her, did it?
Not for a minute.
I thought it would not.
If only we knew what Tex was going
Jerry,
to do.
the radio.
Gregory, standing. Island. Guard. Sinking. Hurry. Few hours. Will sink. Gregory. Hurry. Bradford. Sinking. Hurry.
Oh, Jerry, that was Elaine.
Yeah, and she and the captain are in trouble.
Serious trouble. They are sinking.
Maybe they meant the island.
No, Jerry, their plane is sinking. Elaine said hurry.
Well, look here, Joan. No matter what happens, don't tell your mother.
But, Jerry, she...
No, Joan, not a word to her. We'll tell Johnson, the skipper, and the engineer, and they'll break this boat trying to get up to there. But it won't help her to worry your mother anymore. And maybe we'll be in time. Elaine said sinking. She didn't say sunk. And there's plenty of hope for some good luck between sinking and sunk.
The last time we heard from the Magic Island, Captain Bradford and Elaine were reported sinking. Jerry and Joan received the message in the radio cabin on the rescue boat. And as Mrs. Gregory was out walking on the deck at the time, she doesn't know of this new development. Elaine and the captain have been waiting near one of the elevators on the edge of the Magic Island, sitting in their helpless rocket plane, floating on the water. The Euclideans threaten to attack them, and Captain Bradford slips off into the water, where he's holding the two bottles containing his universal solvent against the side of the island. Elaine is getting out of the sinking plane.
Get out here quick, Elaine. That thing's going down with you.
I'm nearly free from the plane.
That metal ray of theirs sure wrecked that shell.
I will try to save this small rubber boat.
And we'll need it.
Yes, we may have to float for hours.
When daylight comes and we're found floating here, it won't take G-47 long to dispose of us.
I do not propose to be found floating here.
We can't be far away.
Perhaps not. The island will be gone, and G-47 will be no threat to us.
What do you mean?
It has been completely dark for some time. I think it only reasonable to expect an attack from the Euclideans.
Yeah, I've been expecting it every minute.
If I'm only successful in inflating this bag from the small gas supply in the plane, before it sinks.
Yes. It'd be pretty hard to blow that thing up and swim at the same time.
At least there is some little air.
How much will it take to inflate that boat?
Only a few pounds will inflate it sufficiently to support us for some hours.
We'll need some hours. About 18, I think.
The air pressure is growing weaker.
And the plane's sliding under. Here, better break that hose loose before the rubber raft gets carried down with the plane.
Right.
Here, put one hand on my shoulder and hang on tight. That plane will create some suction going down.
Not much. It's nearly full of water now. However, I will hold it to the island with you. I have the rubber boat.
Well, then let the plane go. Well, there goes our plane.
I think the Euphidians are coming after us.
How can you tell in this darkness?
I saw a thin beam of light for an instant. Someone slipped out of the central control chamber.
And there's only one thing to do. Swim away from this island and take that rubber boat with you.
I understand. I am safely away.
Good. Now I'll break these bottles of solvent against the elevator housing.
Get away quickly, Captain.
I'm coming.
Over this way, Captain Bradford.
I'll take the opposite side of the boat from you.
You did not get any of the solvent on you.
No chance. I was mighty careful about that.
How rapid will the action be on the island?
That stuff is heating through into the elevator housing by this time. I only hope the Euphidians discover it soon enough to get safely into their underwater city.
I feel that they will accomplish that. The automatic controls will begin to work in a few seconds.
Is there any way at all that they can keep the island above water?
No possible way. That island will have to be submerged to its foundation. Everyone in the island will have to flee for safety to the city. And it will take days, perhaps weeks, to raise the island and repair it.
If my solvent doesn't damage it beyond repair.
We may as well prepare for a long, wet night, Captain.
Yeah, it looks like it. If that's the worst that happens to us, we'll be all right.
Listen. The signal to submerge the island.
Yes. That means that all the Euphidians will be prisoners in their own city, while we're free.
We are free, Captain, that is true. But our position is not entirely happy.
Well, I've had prospects I enjoyed more than floating around in this ocean all night.
If we are so fortunate as to float all night.
Why shouldn't we float all night? This boat will support us easy enough.
Yes, it was designed for that purpose, but it is apparently defective.
Defective?
The air is rapidly leaking out.
Where?
Around on this side.
No way to repair it?
None that I know of. I'm holding the leak closed with my hand as well as possible, but it is not perfect.
Wait a minute. I'll get around there and help you.
If we had something with which to tie a knot around this leak.
We have. Strings from those broken bottles are still tied to my wrist.
That will do nicely.
Now, if you'll squeeze some of the air out of a small section of the hole, I'll tie it up.
I'm doing so.
That's good. Now hold it tight. I'll try to knot this so it won't leak much.
A very little will support our weight for the night.
Right. There you are. I don't think that'll leak anymore. Even if it does, we can probably blow enough air into it to support us.
I'm very glad this boat is successful. I would not like to cause you trouble.
Cause me trouble? I wouldn't have any more trouble than you would swimming around here all night.
I've learned a great deal from you, Captain Bradford.
Well, we've learned a few things from you, too.
In a scientific way, perhaps. But from you, I have learned that a man may accomplish a great deal if he does it quietly. On Euclidia, every accomplishment was loudly discussed.
We like to talk about what we do in our world, too. Now, Elaine, here, you get up on this raft.
Oh, but Captain...
Come on, up you go. One of us swimming at a time is enough. We've got a lot of hours ahead of us. There's no use in both of us paddling around in this water.
Calling Captain Bradford. Gregory boat to Captain Bradford. Patricia Gregory to Bradford.
It is no use, Mother. You may as well stop.
Yes, you're right, Joan. It's nearly daylight. Nearly 24 hours since we heard from them last.
And soon after daylight, we should reach their position.
And what will we find?
That we cannot know until we arrive.
Where's Jerry?
I am not sure. He has been all over the boat at various times. First helping Mr. McLeod with the motors, Then relieving Mr. Johnson in the pilot house? Jerry has done much the last few hours, Mother.
I know that, Joan. Jerry's been wonderful. Everyone on board has done their best. And for what?
Mother, you must not look at things so hopelessly. Mr. Johnson says we will arrive at the position of Euclidia shortly after daylight. And the sky is gray now.
I'm older than you are, my dear. Johnson is a grand person, and he's trying to keep my spirits up. But I know too much about boats for that. We couldn't possibly have made sufficient speed to reach Euclidia before noon.
I feel that Mr. Johnson is sincere. And we will locate Elaine and the captain within the hour.
Why don't they use their radio?
They have been on the water, floating in that small rocket plane for 6 days. It is possible their batteries are too weak to reach us.
If we're as close as Johnson says, and if the plane was still afloat, it wouldn't take much of a radio to reach us. No, Joan. That plane is no longer afloat.
Mother, if you do not stop talking like that, I shall put you to bed. I shall indeed. Oh, and here is Jerry. Perhaps he has news.
Jerry, have you heard? Oh.
Nothing, Jerry?
I'm sorry.
Oh, it isn't your fault, Jerry.
I feel like it is. Kinda.
But how could it be, Jerry?
Oh, I don't know, but it seemed like with so many of us on this boat, we could have done something to help them. One of us should have had an idea.
That's how I feel, Jerry. As if we'd fallen down on the job somewhere.
You did try to launch the small plane last night.
Yeah, and cracked it up, getting it over the side.
That couldn't be helped. We didn't have time before sailing to equip the boat properly for dropping the plane.
Oh, I know. But I'll bet if Tex had been here, he could have done it.
Yes, Tex could have done it.
Are we not near Euclidia now?
Johnson said an hour just before I came in.
An hour is a lifetime right now.
Yeah, and an hour's too long if they haven't got anything to hang on to. Well, but maybe they had, huh?
Come with you, Skipper?
Aye.
All of us?
Aye.
Well, what's happened?
Come.
But where do you wish us to go, Skipper?
Board.
The pilot house?
Aye.
Come on, Mrs. Gregory. I'll bet Johnson's got some news.
No, Jerry. Not yet.
Hurry, Mother.
Come up forward to the rail, all of you.
Well, what is it, Johnson?
I'm not sure if there's anything. The sky is getting lighter.
Yeah, you can begin to see the water around the boat.
We'll all watch dead ahead.
You've seen something?
I thought so, Mrs. Gregory, but I wouldn't be sure.
What did you see?
I thought I saw a light. I turned on our searchlight then, but nothing since.
We'll turn the searchlight on again.
Well, the light from it is so great that it prevents our seeing a small light on the water far off.
Well, turn it on again, and then turn it off quick. And maybe they're looking for us.
Yes, Johnson.
Very well, Mrs. Gregory.
That is a powerful light.
Boy, it sure is.
Sweep the water with it, Johnson.
Right.
And everybody look hard at that water where the light hits.
I see nothing but water.
Just water.
Me too.
Well, this is the worst hour of the day for visibility. Not enough daylight to see clearly, and only dark enough for the searchlight to cast an indistinct glow.
Hey, turn off the light, quick.
What is it, Jerry?
I saw a light. Just a little tiny flare.
Are you sure of that?
Sure, I'm sure.
Where was it?
Almost dead ahead. Just a little off the port bow.
How far away?
Well, unless it was a mighty small light like a match or a small flashlight, it was a long ways, maybe a mile.
Well, what do you think, Johnson?
I thought I saw the same thing before I called you out.
Well, are we making full speed?
More than that. We're tearing the boat to pieces.
Please change your course enough to meet that light.
Right, Mrs. Gregory.
Oh, Mother, we will find the captain and Elaine safe at last.
Sure we will.
Oh, don't be too sure. I've seen many things at sea that weren't what they seem to be.
Hold it, everybody. I saw that light again. Watch it. Again. Again. Now it's... Hey! Hey, it's on longer. There it is again. And again. Count these next ones.
1, 2, 3.
3.
I thought so. Did you see it, Johnson?
3 shorts, 3 longs, 3 shorts.
That's what it looks like to me.
SOS.
I think so.
Then someone is in danger. I knew it.
Now take it easy, Mrs. Gregory. If they're able to send a signal, they're still all right.
But how can we answer them?
By switching the searchlight on and off. But it glows so long and heats so slowly that it isn't good for signals.
Tip it down here where I can reach it.
What can you do, Jerry?
Wait till I get off my coat and I'll show you. Turn it on, Johnson. Now I'll cover and uncover it with my coat. It won't make very good code, but if Tex Bradford is out there, he can read anything.
Hurry, Jerry.
Send OK, Jerry. It's shorter than anything else here.
Right. 1, 2, 3. There's the O. And there's is the K.
That was clear enough.
Turn out the searchlight. Let's watch for them. There it is. There's the light again. Oh, we found them. That's Tex. I know it is.
In that dark gray hour just before the dawn, Mrs. Gregory and her chartered rescue boat reached the location of the Magic Island. This weird island has been submerged, raised, and sunk since we saw it last, and Captain Bradford and the girl commander nearly went down with it. They floated all night, clinging to a small rubber life raft, and were just about ready to give up hope when a searchlight swept the sky. Johnson, in the pilot house of the rescue boat, thought he saw a tiny light far ahead and called Mrs. Gregory, Jerry, and Joan to watch with him. Jerry signals with the searchlight, and a faint answering signal is seen. All is excitement aboard the Gregory boat as they bear down rapidly on the two people in the water, the first faint streaks of dawn lighting up the ocean.
There they are, Johnson.
No doubt of it, Mrs. Gregory.
Yep, there's two of them, all right, and they're hanging on to something in the water.
Some form of small life raft, I think.
Yes, Joan, dear. That's what it looks like. Oh, how far are they, Johnson?
Well, we'll pick them up in just 2 or 3 minutes.
Hello, Tex! Hello, Tex!
They cannot hear you, Jerry.
But they're waving their arms. Look, they're all right.
I told you they would be.
Well, they're certainly active enough. Can't be much wrong with them.
Well, I'll go and get the landing stage ready for them.
Thanks, Jerry. Joan, dear,
Yes, Mother.
will you go into our cabin, lay out some warm, dry clothes for Elaine, and get out some extra blankets? She'll need them.
Certainly, Mother. I will take care of everything.
Apparently, the captain has managed to keep the Euphidians bottled up. There isn't one in sight.
If he's done that, it's little short of a miracle.
Ahoy, the boat!
Johnson, did you hear that?
Yes, sounded like the captain.
It was. Oh, Johnson, he's all right. Tex! Hello, Tex! Oh, Johnson. Tex, he...
Well, I don't blame you much, Mrs. Gregory.
Hey, Skipper! Shove over here, on the double. Move faster than that, man. Can't you see Mrs. Gregory's fainted?
Here, take her in her cabin. I'll give you a hand.
I'm all right. I didn't faint, Johnson.
Well, you certainly gave a good imitation of it. Hold on, Skipper.
You needn't carry me now, Skipper. I'll be all right.
Fainted.
She didn't faint. Will you please put Mrs. Gregory down?
Thanks, just the same, Skipper.
Isn't there anything in the world which will cause that man to say more than one word at a time?
Nothing. Oh, I'm all right now. How near are we to Tex and Elaine?
Mighty close now.
McLeod,
Aye, Mr. Johnson.
hold your motors down hard.
Ahoy there, Tex. Are you all right?
They're okay, Pat.
How is Elaine?
Doing very nicely, thank you.
Another one of those girls you can't upset.
Oh, Elaine is quite a person.
I've got the landing stage all ready.
Right, Jerry. I'll come back amidships.
Go ahead, Mrs. Gregory. I'll stay on duty here.
Thank you, Johnson. You're always on duty somewhere.
Hurry up, Mrs. Gregory. We're nearly to them.
Coming, Jerry.
Stand by, McLeod. Full speed astern. Full speed astern. You'll have that stage alongside you in a minute, Tex. We're watching it. Be ready to grab this ladder, Elaine.
I will do so, Captain.
Let me go down the ladder, Jerry.
Well, it's swaying pretty badly.
Oh, I don't mind that. I want to be the one to bring them aboard.
Well, okay, Mrs. Gregory.
Oh, Tex, give me your hand. And Elaine, you must be nearly dead.
We did not fare badly.
Come on up the ladder. I'll help you.
Thank you, Mrs. Gregory.
I'm right up here, Elaine. Give me your hand as soon as you get up high enough.
It is good to see you, Jerry.
Boy, it's sure good to see you, too.
I will take charge of Elaine now, Jerry. Come to our cabin, Elaine. You must have some warm, dry clothing at once.
Hey, look. Look at the captain and Mrs. Gregory.
Why, what did you see, Jerry?
Oh, nothing. Not a thing. You hurry up and take Elaine to your cabin.
I do not wish to trouble you.
Oh, it is no trouble. Come at once with me,
And
Elaine.
before you do anything else, you're going to get into some dry clothing and have something hot to drink.
No time for that now. Hello,
Gee.
Jerry.
Gee, we're glad to see you, Tex.
Maybe you think I'm not glad to be here.
Did you bottle up all the Euclideans?
We sure did, son. Every last one of them.
Say, how do we get them on board?
Now, Jerry, that can wait. Tex needs some dry clothing and some hot food.
Later, Pat. Just now, we've got to handle this matter of the Euclideans. Something may happen to allow them to escape. We'd better get busy.
Well, What'll we do?
I want you to go up and send Johnson to the radio cabin for instructions. You hold the wheel while he's gone. And tell the engineer not to move off this spot.
Aye, aye, sir. I'll send Johnson to you right away.
Tex, you're wet and cold and tired.
All of that, Pat, there, but all of that can wait. Let's go in the radio cabin.
Did things work out according to your plans?
Not entirely. They almost had us when they raised that island again. But the last 2 bottles of my solvent sank the island. Elaine and I managed to hang on all night.
Oh, at least it's warm in here.
Yeah, and I'll have Jerry bring me some hot coffee when he comes back. You haven't heard anything from Euclidia on this radio, I suppose?
No, and we haven't tried to contact them.
Just as well, though they've probably heard all we said to each other.
Well, welcome to the ship, Captain.
Thanks, Johnson. Nice work getting here.
Thanks to McLeod. He cried bitter tears over his poor engines all the way down here. But he kept them running.
Fair enough. Now, here's the setup. I want to take these Euclideans aboard at once. Quarters enough for them?
I think so, Tex. We didn't have time to fix the boat up properly, but there are comfortable, clean quarters for nearly 300 below decks, and food enough to take us back to Los Angeles.
That's all we need. All right, Johnson. I'll get them on the radio and tell them what they're to do. You stay in the bow. Keep the ship in this position. That landing stage is practically over the surface airlock I'll make them come up through.
Well, what if they come up with weapons?
Take one of the crew up forward with you, Johnson. Have him train that large telescope on the spot where Euclideans start popping out of the water. I'll tell them we've got some powerful kind of gun pointing at them. They won't know the difference.
That's a good idea, Captain. But are you sure they'll start popping out?
I'll take care of that with the radio.
Anything else?
That's all.
How about getting them peaceably into the hold once they're aboard, Tex?
We've men enough here to guarantee that. I think our trouble with Euclidia is all over. They won't have much fight left in them when they get up here.
Well, I'll shove off. You want Jerry in here?
Yes, for the present. I'll send him out to you later. He knows more of those Euclidean tricks than you do.
Right, Captain.
Well, Pat, here we are.
Yes, Tex. Here we are. And last night I thought we'd never be together again.
I'd like to do nothing but sit here and look at you. There's work to be done. First thing is to see if our friends care to enter into a little radio talk.
Well, I doubt it.
I think they will. Bradford to Euclidia. Bradford to Euclidia. Answer at once.
What will you do if they refuse, Tex?
They won't refuse.
Thales on Euclidia to Bradford. Euclidean transmission chamber to Gregory boat. What is your message, Captain Bradford?
Hello, Thales. You will pass these instructions to everyone in Euclidia. This is final. Do you understand that?
Your instructions will be followed.
Then listen carefully. You will arrange for your entire colony to come aboard this boat immediately. You will leave Euclidia only through the surface airlock near this boat. Any attempt to leave by any other means will force me to release my formula and immediately flood the city of Euclidia, destroying everything in it.
What of the animals and various domestic fowl and beasts?
They will be cared for. After you are all aboard, I will arrange a guard from my crew. They will remain on Euclidia until those animals may be taken out to safety.
I understand. We are to begin evacuation of the city at once. I suppose you realize that we may leave that lock only one at a time, and that several hours will be required.
I realize all that. Start at once. We are ready to take you aboard. You, Thales, shall be the last to leave Euclidia, and your life will be the guarantee of the actions and safety of the others.
That is well. We will begin at once. Prepare to receive the first of our colony in less than 180 seconds.
Good. That is all.
180 seconds. Tex, they can be coming out of that lock in 3 minutes.
That's what Thales says, and his mistakes are few and far between.
I will take it to the captain.
Hey, I got it this far. I can take it in.
Now, what are you two fighting about?
Sounds like home.
Well, I got this coffee from the galley for you, Tex, and Joan
I
here...
wanted to bring it in to you, Captain, but Jerry would not allow it.
That wasn't very gallant, Jerry.
Well, maybe not. But Joan took the coffee to Elaine.
Say, this is mighty good, Jerry. Certainly hits a spot.
How is Elaine, Joan?
She is apparently quite well, though there was not time to make sure.
No time. No time for what?
Something happened to her?
Yeah, she went to sleep.
Oh, well, that won't hurt her a great deal.
You know, that girl has plenty of nerve. She deserves a rest.
But she did not even have her coffee. I sent Jerry to the kitchen, and...
Kitchen. I've told you 100 times, on a boat, it's the galley.
Very well, Jerry. I sent you to the galley, and before you returned with the coffee, Elaine had fallen asleep.
Well, that's all right. Sleep will do her more good anyway. But I enjoyed the coffee. A little later, I'd like some more.
Oh, sure, Tex. I'll get as much as you want. Hey, what about the Euclideans?
I just had Thales on the radio. They're coming aboard right away, and they're not going to stop to argue about it.
The Euclideans agreed to your plans without resistance?
They did.
Doesn't sound right to me.
And it wouldn't to me, Jerry, if I hadn't heard it with my own ears.
Well, I'll bet it's a trick.
I would suspect that.
No, not this time. Frankly, I expected some argument about it. But for some reason, Thales sounded absolutely hopeless.
Yes, I think you're right, Tex. All the fight has gone out of them, but why?
I don't understand it. I'm just glad of it.
Yes, Skipper?
Come.
What's up?
Hurry.
What's happening, Skipper?
Euclidean.
Euclidean coming up out of the water?
Aye.
Oh, boy, come on, Joan. We've got to see
Yes,
this.
Jerry, it is very exciting.
Had the crew all lined up to run him into the hole?
Aye.
Come on, Pat. This is what we've been waiting for.
Yes, Tex, this is what we've been waiting for.
Hurry up. The first Euclidean is coming up the ladder.
The underwater city of Euclidia is being deserted. One at a time, just as fast as they can come up through the surface airlock, the Euclideans are coming aboard the Gregory boat and going to their quarters below the decks. Mrs. Gregory has chartered this small steamer, which is large enough to safely accommodate the Euclideans, and plans to take them back to the United States, where they will be placed in a scientific colony established for them there and allowed to continue their work under guard. In the radio cabin of the boat, Mrs. Gregory and Joan have been getting weather reports in preparation for their 4,000-mile trip back to Los Angeles.
It is well along into the afternoon, Mother.
Yes, Joan, dear. Nearly 4 o'clock. That steady parade of Euclideans has been coming up over the side and going below since daylight this morning.
They look very strange, do they not? I can realize that since I have seen your world. I should not like to go back to those drab uniforms of Euclidean cloth and that cold, hard, scientific manner of living.
That's all over now, Joan. And our adventures will soon be over. We'll live quietly at my home in Los Angeles, and you'll go to school with Jerry.
Jerry says I know too much to go to school, but I do not agree with him. I believe I should go to school, if only to learn to behave exactly as others in your world do.
Yes, that will have value to you. And the association with other young people, boys and girls near your own age, will provide a lot of fun for you.
It will seem strange, but very nice to live your life.
Hello there.
Come in, Jerry.
And will you please close the door?
Oh, sure. But I wanted to keep an eye on those Euclideans.
I'm sorry, Jerry, but I'm a little nervous. For 7 or 8 hours now, I've heard those feet shuffling past this door. Watched those shapeless uniforms and the dull, leaden faces of the Euclideans.
Yeah, well, I guess it would get kind of sort of tiresome.
Just listen a moment, Jerry.
Golly, they do get on your nerves. Sound their shuffling feet. I'll close the door.
Oh, thanks, Jerry. That's better.
Oh, gee, Mrs. Gregory, you're all upset about this thing.
Mother is not accustomed to being in charge of a boat with 250 prisoners on board.
Oh, sure, but the danger's all over now.
I hope you're right, Jerry. But a 4,000-mile trip with a boatload of Euclideans seems to offer plenty of opportunity for trouble.
They're not going to do anything. There's no fight left in that bunch.
I feel that is correct, Jerry. Never have I seen anyone look so hopeless.
You know, I think most of them are glad it's happened. I guess they weren't any too happy on Euclidia.
That was the idea Tex and I had when we agreed to this wild plan of trying to capture 250 people and take them home on an ordinary boat.
I heard some of the leading scientists say that they would welcome the opportunity of working under better conditions.
They're an amazing crowd of people, thinking nothing but scientific advancement, willing to be taken prisoners, to live anywhere and to work anywhere, just so they're allowed to work on their inventions and discoveries.
Yeah, and I'll bet you that we'll never have a bit of trouble with them after we put them in that place you bought.
They'll have plenty of room, at least, and the buildings and equipment are good. It was a very complete little college a few years ago.
But, Mother, why should a college be forced to close? Is there no one who wants to learn?
Well, plenty of them. But they want to learn in the big colleges with the best football teams.
Football? Do they attend the higher institutions of learning to study football?
Oh, lots of them do.
But I thought football was a form of recreation, a game.
It is, Joan, dear. But football is also the magnet which draws thousands of students to the larger schools annually.
How strange.
Well, maybe. But I like it all right.
Jerry,
Want me?
Captain.
Better run along, Jerry. Tex wants you.
Okay. Hey, looks like that's about the end of the Euphidian parade.
Oh,
That was the last of them, Skipper?
Then we might go out on deck, Mother.
Not yet, Joan. Tex asked us to stay here, and we'll stay until he tells us to come out.
Oh, okay. See you later.
Oh, thank goodness that's all over.
And now, all that we have to do is sail home.
Yes, that's all. Just a little 4,000-mile trip.
It will not prove difficult, I think.
Well, we've done our part, Joan. We've got all the weather reports the land stations can give us, and it looks like fair weather all the way home.
May I come in, Mrs. Gregory?
Of course you may, Elaine. Sit down here.
Thank you.
You must be very tired.
I am tired, but tired with the satisfaction of a task well performed.
And the Euphidians are all aboard?
Why, yes. Yes, they're all aboard.
Elaine, has anything happened?
Nothing. The transfer has been without incident.
But you hesitated before you answered, Mother.
I am sorry. I did not mean to hesitate.
Something is wrong, Elaine? Tex? Jerry?
They are quite all right. I believe the captain suffered a disappointment, but he will tell you about it.
What sort of disappointment could it be?
If Tex wants us to wait for his explanation, we'll have to wait for it. It can't be anything very serious.
Mother, is that not the signal to start?
So soon? Why, yes. The engines are gathering speed, and the boat is beginning to move. Oh, we're underway.
I thought it would not be long. The captain gave orders to the 3 men who are to remain in the underwater city with the animals until another boat arrives to take them off.
Who stayed, Elaine?
2 members of your crew, and the engineer, Mr. McLeod.
Mr. McLeod will be with his pigs once more.
I'll bet Mac didn't like that job any too well.
He volunteered for it, and the captain thought an engineer should be in charge.
And after the cattle, birds, and chickens are taken out of the city?
Then it is to be flooded and destroyed.
It seems a waste of splendid effort to ruin that beautiful city. The Euclideans have spent more than 10 years building parts of it.
I know that, Elaine. But its existence would cause trouble. Trouble between nations as to who would claim it, and trouble among men for its scientific treasures.
I believe you are right, Mother. It will be better so.
Oh, Tex, it's really over?
Yes, Pat. It's all over. I hope.
You hope.
Elaine,
Yes, Captain?
I hate to ask you to do anything more until you get some rest, but you're the only one who can do this with any degree of certainty.
That is quite all right, Captain.
You go and join Jerry at the stern hatch. He'll explain what it is you have to do and report to me as soon as you finish.
Surely, Captain. Whatever it is, we will let you know the result at once.
Thanks, Elaine. I promise you can sleep after that.
Tex, what's all this mystery?
Oh, probably nothing, Pat. I'm not sure yet.
You are worried, Captain Bradford?
Well, not exactly worried, but I'm a little disturbed about something.
Well, what is it, Tex?
G47 has disappeared.
What? G47?
Right.
You mean he didn't come aboard?
At least I didn't see him come aboard.
Then he's hiding down in Euclidia, and we've put off without him.
But that would be dangerous.
It would, but I don't think that's what's happened.
What else could it be, Tex?
G47 doesn't tell all he knows to anyone. He might have a trick or two up his sleeve.
Where do you think he is, Captain?
On board this boat.
But you just said, Tex,
I said
that
I
he...
didn't see him come aboard, and I didn't. Or at least I didn't recognize him.
But what would be his object in disguising himself?
No telling, but I've got an idea he's on board.
Wouldn't one of the other chief scientists know?
Probably, but they wouldn't talk to me. I tried to get some news out of 3 of them. Thales, Cheops, and Octavo. They merely said they didn't know where he was.
Do you think it's possible he might have hidden somewhere in Euclidia?
Yes, Mother. That is quite possible.
Oh, Tex, those 3 men you left down there. They'd be helpless in G47's hands.
I thought of that. But for some reason, I'm not afraid of it. There's more to G47's disappearance than a simple hiding trick.
But what could it be?
That I don't know.
Was that the errand on which you sent Jerry and Elaine?
Yes. Elaine would be able to recognize G47 if she was looking for a disguise. And Jerry will probably say the wrong thing and make some Euclidean so angry that they'll tell him what he wants to know.
I could have helped them, Captain.
I know it, Joan, but I thought it best to keep you out of there. Some of the Euclideans may feel that you and your mother started all this trouble for them. when we went searching for you long ago. I think it's just as well if you don't go down into their quarters.
I agree with you, Tex. And I think that should mean for the entire voyage.
By all means.
Very well, if you wish it.
Ahoy, the boat. McLeod to Captain Bradford. Ahoy, the boat there.
Tex, it's Mac.
Didn't take him long to get down to that Euclidean radio and figure out how to work it.
This is McLeod. Can you hear me?
Hello, Mac. This is Tex. How did you find everything?
Those men left everything in perfect condition. We'll do very nicely until you get another boat down here.
Good for you, Mac. Now remember that if anything happens, you can use that small submarine in the lower lock. I took all my solvent away from that lock. And in an emergency, get out of there with your crew and start along the course to Los Angeles.
Nothing is going to happen. We'll take care of things. And now I must get along and feed the pigs. Good luck to you all.
Good luck, Mac, and don't take any chances. Well, that's the last we'll hear from Mac in some time.
Mr. McLeod is a fine man.
He certainly is. And Mac is the only man who could go into that underground city with 2 companions and calmly set about feeding the pigs while he begins the 30-day wait.
Will it take so long to get another boat to him?
The kind of boat we'll need to take out several hundred animals and birds won't be any speedboat.
Well, here we are.
And
Nothing.
no sign of G47?
He is not among the Euclideans.
Then where is he?
We don't know. And I don't think the Euclideans know either.
But they must know.
I believe not.
What's it all about, Elaine?
Thales seemed willing enough to talk, and I feel that he was speaking the truth. He has absolutely no idea of G47's whereabouts.
Well, this certainly puts us in a fine position.
Yeah, with that guy running loose in the world, well, it won't be long until another of these crazy colonies will be springing up someplace.
That is right, Jerry.
Tex, can't we do anything about it?
Apparently not. What else did Thales say?
Well, he claims that G47 disappeared right after we left in that rocket plane.
But what could he use for transportation?
I can't figure it. Those submarine locks were still magnetized when we got back.
And he could not take a boat out through that small surface lock.
Not any boat we saw there. But G47 didn't tell the rest of the scientists all his tricks. Well, I could tell from the way they acted, G47 was just about as mysterious to them as he was to us.
Well, he's gone, and there's nothing we can do about it. At least we have the rest of his colony. And G47 is only one man. It will take him a long time to build another Magic Island or another Euclidean.
Nevertheless, Tex, I'd feel a great deal more comfortable if he were safely locked in the hold with the rest of them.
Yeah, so would I. But we can't help it.
I believe I will go to my cabin and rest, if I may.
Go to it, Elaine. You've helped a lot, and when we get home, we'll try to repay you.
I had hoped to promise you a world without any more fear of G47, but I can't promise that now.
No, Mother. I am sure we will hear from G47 again.
Once more, the Gregory party has returned safely from the Magic Island, bringing with them the entire colony of Euclideans from the strange underwater city. Mrs. Gregory has arranged the funds with which to endow a sort of combined laboratory, college, and prison to house these scientists and allow them to continue their work under guard. Naturally, it's been a busy time for our friends. We find them now 1 week after their arrival at Los Angeles. Jerry and Joan are out seeing the town. Joan for her first real view of our world, and Jerry showing her around. In the radio room in Mrs. Gregory's home, Captain Bradford is explaining to Pat why he believes certain things.
But it doesn't make sense, Tex.
Why, sure it does, Pat. Now listen to this. G47 disappeared, and that's the last we'll ever hear of him.
Why should that explain it?
We've broken up his colony, imprisoned all his co-workers, and soon the Magic Island will be only a memory. G47 couldn't stand that.
Oh, you're wrong, Tex. I'm sure you're just as wrong as you can be. G47 has given his life to the study of science, and he'll never quit.
That part of it may be all right, but we'll never hear of him again. And that brings up another problem.
It brings up a good many, I think.
Oh, forget it, Pat. I didn't mean it that way. I was thinking that now these scientists are without a head, they've looked to G47 to lead them in all their work. Just how much are they going to accomplish without him?
I've thought of that, Tex. And I've asked a number of scientists and educators to take over the job, but none of them seem very keen about it.
We'll have to get someone.
The only chance is Professor Hubbard.
Sure, he'd be the ideal man, but he's in Europe.
No, he arrived in town today. I saw it in the Distinguished Arrivals column.
Is he here to stay?
No, vacationing, the article said.
And you expect a man of his reputation, who's probably taken the first vacation he's had in years, to step into a job such as the running of that institution?
I'm not lacking in nerve, anyhow. I sent a note to his hotel asking him to call tonight.
Well, you know him and I don't. You'll have to handle it.
And that reminds me. If you're going to try to call McLeod, you'd better do it now. The professor may be here any time.
Good idea, Pat. Poor old Mac must think it's a funny kind of life down there in that underwater city.
It's awfully lonesome for him. With just those 2 sailors out of the crew, waiting for weeks for another boat to come and take them off.
Yeah, but don't forget the pigs and the chickens and cows. Mac's got plenty of company.
Well, even so, it's not a pleasant job.
Of course it isn't, Pat. I was only joking. Mac's a grand guy, or he wouldn't have volunteered to stay there. But I couldn't stand the thought of all those splendid animals being destroyed when we flood Euclidia.
And you did perfectly right, Tex. The Euclidians have developed domestic livestock to a fine point, and we'll be able to do a good deal with that collection.
In the meantime, I'd better try to get Mac. Bradford to McLeod. Bradford to McLeod. Gregory home station to Euclidia. Hello, Mac. Hello. Why should it take Mac so long to answer? I told him to be ready at this time every night.
Well, remember that he doesn't claim to be a radio engineer, and after all, we're 4,000 miles away from Euclidia. Don't expect him to operate that radio as well as Thales did.
No, that's the trouble. No one does anything as well as those blame Euclidians did it.
Hello, Captain Bradford. This is Angus McLeod calling Captain Bradford. Can you hear me, Captain?
You bet I can, Mac. Go right ahead with your report.
I have little to report. All is well.
He'd say that if the city was flooded.
Hasn't anything happened, Mac?
Not a single solitary thing.
No water leaking into the city from the island?
None. We found a half-dozen steel safety gates in the tunnel leading down from the island. We closed them, and there's no danger now.
Well, it's only about another 8 or 9 days, Mac, and that cattle boat will arrive there to pick you up.
Aye, Captain. I'll be ready for it. Is that all?
That's all.
Then if you'll excuse me, I'll get along to my pigs. Good night.
Night, Mac.
I wonder if Mac doesn't realize that conversation is free.
He sure treats it like an antique, but he gets his work done.
And instead of being lonesome, he's worrying about his pigs. Euclidia does funny things to people. Yes?
It's John and me, Mrs. Gregory.
Well, come in.
Jerry Hall, how many times have I told you to say it is Joan and I, not Joan and me?
Oh, okay, then. It's us.
That'll do nicely, Jerry.
What have you two been doing?
We have been enjoying ourselves.
You have.
Well, now what?
Well, we were supposed to go to a show after I took Joan through one of the big stores downtown, but we were still in the store at closing time. And what do you think we were doing?
Whatever it was, Joan looks like she enjoyed it.
It is very nice. I want Jerry to take me down there again tomorrow.
Oh, I will not.
Well, for heaven's sakes, what is it?
Well, Joan got started riding those blame escalators, and I couldn't get her off them.
Is that so funny?
It wasn't funny to me after about the 200th time we rolled up and down.
You must have had quite a time, Jerry.
Yeah, I did.
I don't blame you a bit, Joan. I ride those things a lot more than I need to, just for fun.
There, you see, the captain likes to ride them.
Okay, then, okay. The next day you feel one of those up and down tours coming on. Let the captain take it.
Oh, well, I wish I could have seen you. Oh, Joan, I'm so happy to have you back home and riding escalators in a store rather than elevators on Euclidia.
Yes, you're a lot safer here.
Oh, gee. Golly whisk.
What is it, Jerry?
We forgot.
Oh, Jerry, so we did.
Something important?
Well, I don't know. But there's a funny-looking old man down in the living room.
A man in the living room, Jerry?
Yes, Mother. Jerry and I met him at the gate, and he said that you had asked him to call.
Professor Hubbard.
Sounds like
We mustn't keep him waiting. Come, Tex.
How about Jerry and Joan?
Oh, don't worry about us. We'll find something to do.
I wish we might ride those escalators again.
Oh.
No, I think you two should come along. The professor is a very interesting man, probably the outstanding scientist in the world today, and a man of whom I'm going to ask a very great favor.
Oh, sure. We'll be glad to go if you want us.
Well, then let's hurry and all go.
Should we not lock the door of this radio room?
Oh, Joan, dear, we're in Los Angeles now, not on Euclidia.
We had to be careful once, though, when Hollywood was full of Euclideans.
These are very beautiful stairs, Mother. But would it not be nice if they were equipped
Joan,
with...
if you ask your mother to put a moving stairway in here, I'll think of something to do to you.
Now, you two be quiet. You're going to meet an important man, and Mrs. Gregory is going to ask him
Quiet, Tex. Good evening, Professor Hubbard.
Mrs. Gregory.
Oh, I'm sorry you've been kept waiting, but the young people forgot to tell us you were here.
That is the usual penalty for age, is it not? To be forgotten by the young.
So good of you to come, Professor. This is Captain Bradford. Tex, Dr. Hubbard.
Heard a lot about you, Professor. This is a real pleasure.
That pleasure is mutual, Captain. I have long wanted to meet so able a scientist who was level-headed enough to think of other things occasionally.
May I present my daughter, Joan? We've just had Joan with us a short time.
You need not tell me of that, Mrs. Gregory. The story of your daughter's discovery on that unique island in the South Seas is common property. You are an interesting young lady, lovely as your mother. And to be interesting and lovely is an accomplishment.
And this is Jerry Hall.
You were one of the searching party, were you not, Jerry?
Oh, yes, sir. Well, I'm not interesting or lovely, but I got as much fun out of it as the rest of them did.
Yes, you would. Well, Mrs. Gregory, it's a genuine pleasure to see you again, and I should like nothing better than to spend an evening talking about the days when my name was little known, and you generously financed an expedition for me. But the urgency in your note leads me to believe that this is more than a social call.
It is. And if you'll all make yourselves comfortable, I'd like to outline a plan I have, and then ask my favor of you.
Anything within my power?
You can't imagine the sort of favors I've learned to ask in the last few months. To begin at the beginning, we found this strange island, with Joan safely living there. But these men, Euclideans they called themselves, were not too friendly. And knowing the captain had a formula they would give much to have, they made us prisoners, in the hope of securing the formula as ransom. Well, we managed to escape, however, and after several attempts, used the same formula to capture their underwater city.
I am aware of all that. Now, you have brought these Euclideans, as they choose to call themselves, back here under guard. Place them in an endowed institution where they may continue their almost fanatic pursuit of science. But you are making sure their discoveries are to be used only for good in the world. Is that correct?
Perfectly.
You seem well informed on this whole thing.
I am well informed. You may be surprised when you learn just how well informed I am. I know that your reason for inviting me to call here this evening was for the purpose of asking me to take charge of your scientific, shall we say, college.
How did you guess that?
It was hardly a guess. Your colony is without a head now. Those men need a leader, and you neglected the little matter of bringing their leader with you.
Tex, do you realize what the professor has just said?
Yes, but what's more important, I'm beginning to get an idea why he said it and how he knew all about this.
I am pleased with you, Captain Bradford. You think very rapidly. And unless I am much mistaken, the young people are wondering if certain characteristics of voice and manner are not familiar to them.
Jerry, do you?
Yeah, I do.
But you've been active in Europe all these years.
In my spare time, I have managed to be seen in scientific circles in Europe, that is true. But I spent little time there.
You are G47?
Yes, I am G47, head of Euclidia, and greatest scientist in the world.
Jerry, think of that.
My head won't work anymore. You think.
Well, Professor, you place us in a strange position. You realize, of course, that your identity as a professor is established. That it would be utterly impossible for us to prove that you were ever G47.
That is true.
This is all a little too much for me.
Well, look, why not let the professor, or G47, or whatever he wants to call himself, take charge of your college?
I think that is an excellent idea, Mother.
You hit it, Jerry. Regardless of the identity of this gentleman, he is the only man in the world who can get from that group of scientists the treasures they are capable of making.
I am glad you are so sensible. I will accept the position as head of this novel institution and will conduct its affairs to the best of my ability. One thing I must have understood. No one was ever harmed on Euclidia. And in the future, any of my people who desire to return to your society must be allowed to do so. As for myself, I had rather be a Euclidean than a free citizen of any country. Tomorrow morning, if you care to visit your scientific colony, you will find me working with the rest, and I will never leave without your permission. Good night. Good night. Good night.
He's gone, vanished as silently down that hall as he used to do on Euclidia.
He'll take the job and run your place to perfection.
That gave me a strange sensation.
Me too. There's something mighty powerful about that man.
Indeed there is, Jerry. There's something big about any man who'll go into a prison of his own free will to be near the thing he loves, and G47 loves science.
The magic island of Euclidia is rapidly becoming just a memory to most of the world, as other news has taken the front pages of the papers and the headlines in the radio news broadcasts. But to Jerry Hall and Joan Gregory, and to Mrs. Patricia Gregory and Captain Tex Bradford, The magic island will always be a very real part of their lives, and they'll never forget their experiences there. Today, however, we find our four friends in very happy circumstances in Los Angeles, California. Jerry and Joan have taken Elaine Raleigh, the young Euclidean girl submarine commander, with them and gone to the university, where they all took entrance examinations a week ago. Mrs. Gregory and Captain Bradford are in the living room of the Gregory home, waiting for the young people to arrive.
Well, Tex, this is just about the end of our adventure.
Looks like it, Pat. It's been a lot of fun.
Yes, fun. And danger, too. I wouldn't mind doing it all over again, after we get the youngsters safely in school.
What I can't figure out is how they expect to go to school together.
It's going to present a problem, but they seem to think they could work it out, and I left it entirely up to them.
Well, those three can work it out if anyone can. But it's a strange mixture. Elaine is 22 and Joan is 15. Neither of them have ever been inside a school. And Jerry has almost another year of high school to complete.
That is a weird trio for college freshmen, all right. But we'll see how they make out. One nice thing about all three of them, whatever happens, they'll get along with the result.
They'll do. Some of the Euclideans didn't like the idea of Elaine going free and taking up her life in our world.
Well, they haven't any complaint. Elaine was an outcast. She didn't agree with all of their views, and she did help us. I wouldn't worry about the Euclidean opinion.
I'm wondering just how long we can keep that scientific college prison of yours under our thumbs.
I think that G47 will hold them in line as long as we can supply all the materials they want for their experiments and treat them kindly.
I hope you're right, but I have a feeling that one of these days we're going to hear more from them.
Tex, the light.
Radio room signal?
I think so. It was just a slight flash.
That would be McLeod. He isn't getting out any too well with that set on Euclidia.
Yes, there it is again.
Come on, Pat. We'd better go to the radio room.
And let's hurry. Something may have happened to Mac.
Nothing very serious, or he wouldn't be using the radio.
He should be on his way by now. That cattle boat has been down there for 2 days.
2 days isn't a long time, Pat, when you figure that they're trying to take several hundred head of domestic animals and birds out through that airlock and load them into a boat.
Oh, I suppose not. But I thought they'd be on their way home by now.
We'll know in a minute.
Yes, the signal's working.
Not getting anything, though. Too weak. You'll have to use a relay and step it up a little. Will you please throw in the generator switch?
Oh, certainly.
Loading operation. Boat riding well. McLeod to Captain Bradford. McLeod calling the Gregory home station. Can you hear me? Hello, Bradford. Hello.
Okay, Mac, we're getting you fine. Go ahead.
Hello, Captain. I was just about to quit trying to reach you. The boat is loaded, and we're ready to sail. Have you got any special orders?
Not a thing. Did you take every one of the animals and birds out?
There's not even a mouse left alive in this deaf place.
Good work, Mac. Shove off for home when you're ready.
Are you sure this place will flood from one little airlock?
It will if you make sure all the doors connecting that lock with the underwater city are fastened open.
Taking no small chance on that. Me and the laddies have taken a welding outfit and welded every door in the place open.
Mac would do a good job, wouldn't he?
I'll say he would. Well, that's fine, Mac. And if you see anything of value in the way of scientific instruments and tools that are in portable cases and easy to handle, bring them along.
That's all taken care of, Captain. We've got everything on board that wasn't nailed down. Best of all, we found a cabinet full of the plans, drawings, and blueprints of everything in the place.
Great stuff, Mac. You've done your job well. Flood the place and leave, and good luck on the trip home.
Aye, Captain. We'll have nothing but good luck leaving this place behind. So long, laddie. We'll be seeing you soon.
Well, that's all over.
And Mac has done a splendid job of it.
He certainly has.
But what will we have for him to do when he gets home?
Nothing, I guess.
Now, Tex, you know that Mac and the old skipper won't be content to sit around and do nothing for very long.
And I suppose, to keep them happy, we'll have to dig up another wild expedition to some unheard-of place.
Probably, but not right away. Oh, I'd like to enjoy the peace and quiet of my home for a little while.
Well, I don't blame you. We've certainly been on the go for the last year.
That must be Jerry and Joan and Elaine at the door.
Thought you gave them a key.
I did, but Joan likes to ring those chimes.
I'll say she does. Funny if they'd fascinate her like that, after all the wonderful things she saw on the Magic Island.
Well, perhaps it's the novelty of finding a set of chimes like that in an ordinary home.
They're inside now.
Yes, sounds like it.
What was it you said about the peace and quiet of your home?
Are you here?
Yes, Joan, dear, in the radio room.
May we come in?
Come on in, kids.
Let's go back into the living room, Tex.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd rather stay here for a half an hour or so.
Why, Tex?
Just to be sure Mac gets off all right.
Oh,
If we don't hear from him in half an hour, we'll know that he's on board the boat and underway for home.
that's right.
Oh, Mother, we have had the most fun.
Well, Joan, dear, you
Gee,
certainly...
Mrs. Gregory, guess what? Oh, hello, Captain.
Hello, Jerry. Joan?
Well, I haven't the least idea, Jerry.
Well, we're all in college.
You are not in college, Jerry.
Well, I'm pretty near.
I suppose you two calm down and tell us one at a time.
I
all
am
I've
now a
gotta do
member
is
of
to
the
Oh,
study
children,
chemistry.
please, one at a time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Suppose you started, Joan.
Very well, I will do so. Elaine, Jerry, and I went to the university to learn the results of our examinations for entrance. And I will be accepted at once.
Oh, that's splendid, Joan.
How about you, son?
Well, I'm practically accepted. Only I have to finish high school yet, and I've got to take a special 3-month course. Then I go in with Joan as a freshman.
Oh, that's fine, Jerry. You must have had very high marks in your high school subjects.
He did. The gentleman who spoke to us at the university said that Jerry was an exceptionally bright young man.
There you are, Jerry.
Well, didn't I always say I was pretty good?
You say that far too much.
It might be just as well to let someone else say it, Jerry. But you do seem to have justified your opinion of yourself.
What did they think about you, Joan?
They found it most unusual.
Boy, they sure did. We had a hard time making them believe that Joan had never been inside of a school of any kind and was only 15 years old when she passed every test they could think of to give her for the college entrance.
You can't blame them for being skeptical.
Hey, wait a minute here. Where's the rest of your party?
Good heavens, I didn't even notice. Where is Elaine?
Oh, she's still trying to get into college.
Elaine couldn't pass the examination.
On the contrary, the professors could find no examinations to give her.
I'll say they couldn't. She answered their questions faster than they could write them down.
Oh, that must have been very funny.
I'll bet it was at that. Elaine examining the professors.
That did indeed take place.
Really, Joan?
Yeah, those professors are swell guys.
Why, Jerry, a professor is not a guy.
These professors were regular guys, and when they found out that they couldn't ask Elaine anything she didn't know, they asked her to question them. And when we left, she was having plenty of fun with them.
I'd have given anything to see that. But what is she going to do about it?
They agreed to allow her to attend certain of the classes, which she wanted to do, in order to familiarize herself with our manner of education and our social customs.
Good idea. And it will be a good atmosphere for Elaine.
Yes. She'll soon get entirely away from those Euclidean mannerisms and be much more comfortable in our world.
Well, we didn't want to leave her out there alone, but, well, the science prof said he'd bring her home safe and sound.
I think we have need for no fear for Elaine's safety.
Guess not, unless the college kidnaps her.
They sure liked her.
And now, our 3 young adventurers will have to be quiet students.
Yep, looks like it.
Jerry may be a student, but he will never be quiet.
I guess you're right there, Joan.
Say, how's Mac getting along down at the island?
Oh, we just talked to him. He's nearly ready to shove off.
And he will destroy Euclidia before he leaves.
Yes, Joan. We decided that was best. Mac will turn the ocean into that place, flood it thoroughly. It seems too bad to destroy all the work G-47 and his men put in there. We were afraid that those underwater caves would offer too much of a chance to criminals if they weren't flooded.
Well, they could pump them out and use them again.
Not very easy, Jerry. It would be almost impossible to locate enough machinery down there for that job without being caught at it. They'd need a fleet of big boats around there for months, and it would cost millions.
I think we're safe enough from that. Well, what can we do with ourselves now?
Jerry and I have planned to spend much of our time studying for his examinations.
You're going to study for his examination?
Yeah, she's going to help me. And then we're going to spend an hour every day in G-47's laboratory at the new scientific colony.
I'm not so sure about that. What do you think, Tex?
I don't see how there could be any harm in it.
There is no danger. Do not forget that G-47 has gone there of his own free will.
Oh, sure, it's all right.
I suppose so. Only I'll never get over a feeling of fear and uncertainty where those Euclideans are concerned.
We visited G-47 on our way home.
Today?
Yes. He has invited us to spend an hour a day with him. And he has promised to show us his finest experiments before he gives them to anyone else.
That's all right, isn't it, Tex?
As far as I can see, though you two will have to be mighty careful not to give any of the secrets away. After all, we want to be able to turn anything of value over to the government.
Oh, sure, we know all about that. But G-47 is going to give us the formulas for some of the things that we can sell and make money on. And we promised him that we'd put all the money in the bank for the Euclideans.
You did exactly right, Jerry. Tex has planned to sell the formula for the soundproof paint to the moving picture and radio studios, and the television instruments also. And all of this money is to be used to support the new Euclidean colony, under our jurisdiction, of course.
I was very doubtful of your experiment at first, Mother, as the Euclideans were so independent. But since they have understood that they may do as they please in their new home, I believe they will remain happy and contented.
I think so. And we've done a good job.
We certainly have, Tex.
Yeah, it's been a long time since that first night when I came here and asked you to take me with you when you went to look for Joan and the Magic Island.
It's really not so long, Jerry. Only a few months. But so much has happened to us that it seems longer than that.
Jerry, I think it is time to tell them of your surprise.
Well, can you leave this radio room now?
I guess we could, but we'd have to stay in the living room where we can watch the radio signal.
Oh, couldn't you get Johnson or somebody to stay here for a while?
Well, of course we could, Jerry, if there was any reason for us to leave the house.
I would like it, Mother, very much.
What is all this?
Well, Joan and I are going to be on the radio tonight.
You are?
Yes, Mother. We have been asked to tell something about our experiences on the Magic Island and down in Euclidia.
Well, that's good, but you don't need us along. Pat and I'll stay here and listen to your broadcast.
Well, we thought maybe you'd better come along so we didn't say the wrong thing.
We won't worry about that.
Of course not. You two go along whenever you get ready, and we'll hear from you here. And when you get home, we might have a party ready for you.
Oh, Mother,